when you're dealing with corruption at this level, the truth doesn't matter anymore.
Pandemic, economic collapse simultaneously.
Yeah. How the CIA and all the rest actually created the pandemic, what they used in it, why they did it, and also the treatments, how you could heal yourself based on that as well.
Is free speech dead in America?
How the CIA and all the rest actually created the pandemic, what they used in it, why they did it, and also the treatments, how you could heal yourself based on that as well.
The three biggest things that Americans can do to protect themselves from whatever's coming.
Dead and buried.
Welcome, everyone, to the Power of Your Voice podcast. And I'm your host, Mike Murphy, and super happy that you're here. Very grateful that you're here. And thank you for all the likes, the subscribes, but most importantly, the shares. Because when we bring on these powerful guests with these powerful concepts, and especially when it comes to people's healing, I really love it when you share this content with people that can really benefit from it. Our purpose here, and we're coming to you today live from the first time in Mountains of Hope, actually. And our purpose is to bring healing and transformation to those that are suffering. And so if you hear something valuable here that you benefit from, and there's people in your life that are suffering, we would love it if you would share it with them. And today's show topic is free speech dead in the United States? And if so, what does that mean for humanity? And does anybody realize this is happening? Or does anybody even care? And today, our special guest is Tim Ray, founder of United Intentions Foundation, whose mission is empowering conscious living. Welcome, Tim.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Wonderful to be here, Mike. And it's a pleasure getting to know you, too, over this last 6 days, coming on 7 days here. Incredible. I feel like, we've lived and I've known you forever, when you find these matching frequencies. And what you built here is a dream of many people I know, including myself. And it's just it's mesmerizing, actually. Anybody getting out here to enjoy the, Mountains of Hope resort / healing center. / everything else you ever need in your life. It's just been, I don't want to leave, actually. I can't believe I'm leaving tomorrow, so I'm so glad to have a chance to talk with you.
Well, it's been a pleasure meeting you, and we are on similar wavelengths. Yeah. And so since you brought up Mountains of Hope, when you arrived, I think Saturday, would you arrive?
Saturday.
So you arrived Saturday, and, we hung out. And what was your first impression of the property, the nature of the facility, initially on Saturday, and now that you've gone through what you've gone through, what's your impression now?
Great question. When I first got here, because there was not many activities going on.
Right. It was just you, me, and Tim.
You, me, and Tim, right? And so I was just amazed how beautiful the place was, first of all. And I was like, wow, this place is incredible. But I had no idea all the modalities that you had set up. Because I read on your website before I came to Columbia, and I had a general idea, but I didn't know how it was all going to come together, in reference to how it was going to be laid out. But I was curious, and I was because I knew the action would happen when all the rest of the folks came, and so I was enjoying every minute of that. And then all of a sudden, getting up with Tim in the mornings, 5:30 in the morning, and jumping into the freezing cold water. And
wait.
All right, got it.
What do you do before you jump in the freezing cold water?
Okay, well, you get into the hot sauna, and you go back and forth, but 3 times. But so I was just like, that was my focus, was surviving the cold water plunge, going into the hot sauna. So I wasn't even thinking of any really other modalities other than like, am I going to die here, in that process? Because I always wanted to do it, but never really had the, what to do it. So I found myself doing that. And then, of course, eating the vegetables. I'm a meat eater at heart, at least have been. And adjusting to that piece was interesting as well. And to the fact where, I'm not hungry. But when I start eating lunch or dinner, I'm hungrier. So I just got into that routine of the food and then the routine of the workout in the mornings, getting up early in the mornings. And so by the time all the action came and everyone showed up, I felt like,
You're a regular.
I'm ready to give a tour of the place, and then I started realizing all the different modules you had set up, healing modules for, incredible, the top of the line, latest frequency information that everyone needs to be looking at. This is the new healing paradigm, and then of course the folks just were the most friendliest people you could ever get, and professional people and personable. I felt like you were Rourke on Fantasy Island, and you were like, welcome everyone, and Tim was your tattoo,
The plane.
and it was that kind of experience and how beautiful it is out here. So, and then you had all the people coming and greeting everyone. It's been miraculous. And then going through the different modules and learning, and I had an idea on some of them, but some I had no idea.
Right.
I mean, just the breathing techniques we just did the other day.
Right.
The two different types of breathing techniques,
Right.
through the mouth and through the nose,
Right.
and then it was just amazing. And then the Rappy ceremony was fantastic. Rapé ceremony was fantastic. The guy double dosed me, and I was like, "Yeah, bring it on," And it was like great because I asked him like, "What do you suggest? Which one I take?" And he said, "Well, the wisdom one, whatever." And then he's like, because he didn't see a reaction from me, I guess. And he says, "You want to try another one?" I go, "Okay." And then he gave me like this really powerful one, and it was like, wow. And right after that, everything seemed sharp.
Yeah.
And I saw the beauty in and it seemed clearer, the lights, the colors.
Yeah.
And it was just a really amazing experience for me. And then, of course, I can't tell you all the other things that we were doing. I mean, I just got done getting the fascia, myofascia release
therapy.
Of course, the far infrared hot sauna and the steam rooms. And now I'm like the whole time I'm going through the process of all the different things that we're doing. I'm like thinking, because I'm like you. We're always thinking ahead. How can I improve? What am I going to do? So I'm like, okay, I have to set this up in my lifestyle in my home.
Right.
I have a lot of the makeup already. I just have to now organize it to where my routine would be in fitting.
So you just said something very important. It's one of the principles of Mountains of Hope is that we want people to come here. That's why we throw so much at you guys in the morning, to see what resonates for people for their morning routine. Because you like the sauna and the cold water and the steam, as I do as well.
Yeah.
But there's also I think it was Laban left me a message today. We have the Camino de Miguel, which is about 1.25 mile hike around.
Oh, I love that too.
He's set the new record of 14 minutes or something. But that's one thing. We have the labyrinth walking meditation. We have the green juice, and we have the shift wave chairs. And so what we want people to realize is come up with a morning routine. And so it looks like you're now starting to think about, okay, what morning routine can I put together that will serve my health best when I return?
I don't want to lose my momentum.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest concern, because I have to prepare, and I'm positioned pretty well to transition from this lifestyle, this last 7 days for me, to that.
Yep.
But I want to make sure I have everything in place. But I have to say, the simple thing, the labyrinth. I know it's a beautiful labyrinth built from the cathedrals
outside Paris.
But that was one of my favorite things. And I don't know why. It's just amazing.
It's peaceful.
It's peaceful, and when I meditate, at least in the past, I'm more of an active meditator, if that makes sense. And I find myself before I walk into the labyrinth, and it's like a 5-minute walk initially, maybe 6-7 minutes, and I found myself, whatever's weighing heavy on me, whether it's from the day or an issue back home in the States or whatever, I'll just throw that out. That's my focus, whatever it is. I'm just going to go with that. And so as I'm going through the labyrinth and all through the maze, I'm thinking about that to whatever degree, and then I'm allowing whatever solutions to come in. And by the time I get to the center, my wish was to have the solution in the center.
Oh, beautiful.
And then on the way out, because I come all the way out, will be how am I going to implement that solution?
The plan for the solution.
Plan into the solution. So by the time I come out, I'm like, wow, I just really accomplished something deep. And not just intellectually, but like a download or a spiritual understanding of the deeper meaning of it,
Yeah, and it's just a little FYI, that's constructed through sacred geometry. And if you clap your hands before you enter the labyrinth, you're going to get a certain frequency sound. When you get to the center and you do it again, it's a completely different frequency sound. So that's the power of energy.
Now you tell me. I mean, the first 10 times it didn't work. Until the 11th time it works now. Now I go in, I have my solution, so I'll clap my hands. Great, great, great.
So before I get into your life, I'm going to ask you one more thing about Mountains Folk, because you brought up the food. And I'm like you. I mean, I'm your basic, typical Midwestern American food guy, right? And so, but I've embraced this this living food, especially the sprouts, and because I'm looking at food now as it doesn't have to be a pleasurable event, okay? It's really just fuel for this body. And when this body is functioning on all 8 cylinders and vibrating the highest frequency, that's where I get my pleasure, okay, through that. But most people, and I think 93% of people in America are being treated for some condition. Okay, and obesity is like 75%, and a baby born today, there's 100 or 200 cancer-causing chemicals in the umbilical cord. So the toxicity is over the top, right? So, but I know for me it's been a struggle, but one that, especially the first few days, but now that I embrace it as a lifestyle, it's not a struggle. Tell me your experience.
Well, I have to concur exactly what you're saying, because I never thought. I mean, I always stayed away from the lettuces. I'm like, there's no joy in that. You know, it's like I always say, it's wasted space in my stomach. You know, give me something protein, something like it. And because that's the only thing you could eat here, you know, and you can't sneak in, like you can't leave or you can't leave the property if you choose to, but but you know, you have to.
This is not a slave camp.
Yeah. You could leave, but you don't want to leave because you have.
Well, it's hard to leave.
It's hard, but you want all these. You want to do all the modules.
Right,
so you don't want to like go explore Medellin, you know, for that reason. So you get used to it, and then because you're working out, you're so active that you're like, okay, I'm hungry, I'll just eat whatever, you know. And the first time, and then you're like, okay, tasted pretty good. It wasn't that bad. Never thought I'd be eating sprouts and everything else. And then before you know it, I'm looking forward to the meals, but feel light. I'm not heavy. I'm not desiring. I'm not desiring sugar. I'm not desiring this type of heavy stuff. And that's what I don't want to change. I want to continue with this to the whatever possibility I can. You know?
Just an FYI for you guys out there listening and watching. You know, the food in America is intentionally made to be addictive. Okay, so and it has no nutritional value. So what Tim and I are talking about right now is that when we give the cells the nutrients that they desire to thrive, they don't crave that other stuff, okay? But we have to break that addiction, and that takes a little bit of time, and that's a bit of a struggle.
Took about 2 days for me.
Yeah, well, you're lucky. So, but good for you. You got to stay on it. And before another FYI for people to come to our signature retreat, we follow you for a couple months, okay? Because he mentioned, I want to stay on when I get home, because we go to these things, we get all excited, we want to, and then we get home, reality comes back in place. We got to deal with this, deal with that, and we're right back where we started. But if you do come to our signature retreat, we do follow you for 2 months, hold you accountable, and there's additional coaching to go further if you want. Just an FYI.
That's wonderful.
Okay. In 2009, you founded United Intentions Foundation. So before you tell me about that, just give me a 30-second who and what were you before that?
I was in fear mode, watching the news and hearing the world's coming to an end in many different ways and different levels. And so I was either at that point decided I was going to build a bunker and live in it, or I was going to do something about the change and start creating a world where we could actually have some sanity again. And so the concept of United Intentions Foundation, as we unite our intentions, as 2 more people come together in prayer, as 2 more people come together in united intention, there's an exponential energetic response. Quantum defines it. And it's this fact. And so I said, well, let me put that to a test. I intellectually understand that, but let me put that to a test. So I decided to stop watching all news, and every day I was going to wake up and create my own news. And that's where the concept of uniting our intentions, because what's happened is when people watch the news, whether it's CNN, NBC, or even online now, it's a lot of it's compromised. And it's all, it's just BS, honestly. You could just almost do the opposite, and you get the truth out of it. Is that when we take this news, we intentionalize it, we bring it into ourselves through a belief system, and then we take their intention and put it in ourselves for our beliefs, and then we manifest that for them, rather than our own beliefs. And hence why this type of what you do is critical, because you're learning once again that you're a creator of your reality.
Right.
You're learning how to create and take care of yourself, so you could go out and create in a healthy way, and learn how really truly this world operates, and how we navigate through it.
But what inspired you to start this?
The United Intentions, which led to the UI Media, which get the word out on what all this going on, is that I was sick and tired of being in fear, sick and tired of the world just going down the crapshoot here, which I've been seeing happening for decades now, and I decided that I'm here for a reason. I need to start living my purpose. So I might not know what it is, but I'm going to find it as I build it, and they will come type of purpose.
So prior to starting this, but what were you doing for a career? What trigger? Because we're born in America, we're programmed to believe red, white, and blue, blah 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 blah. But then we realize, whoa, and we wake up. There's a moment where we wake up and start questioning stuff. What was your moment, and when did that happen?
Probably the moment was when CERN was just getting talked about, and how, hey, our science now is coming so advanced that we could actually alter our universe, and we could collapse through black holes. What we're doing, and I'm like, whoa. And I've been following this stuff. I've been following ET stuff for 30 years. So this stuff to me may be new to someone else, but it's not. And I know it's real. It's real science. It's not like it's made up stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, hold on. This is for real, and not knowing we're entering in an alternative reality here. We got these dark forces who are pulling the strings here. The only thing we can counter them with is with how this is how you take out a predator. The only way to take out a predator is you have to take them off their timeline. And the only way to take them off their timeline is to create a new timeline. So then they're looking at your timeline, and you're just waiting for their timeline to be unfolded. Right. And so that's where uniting your intentions. We are truly creators. We are mighty, powerful spiritual beings. I always knew that, but never really. I was sitting back. I knew it. I was in the stands, and I wasn't being the man in the arena.
When did you realize that we're powerful creators?
I had an intellectual understanding of that, but as
at what age? At what age?
Oh, probably 17.
Okay. So you started opening your mind and your heart earlier.
Yeah, early on. I mean, I took a world religion course. I was raised Catholic like you, and I think I was kicked out of my the priest kicked me out of confession because I didn't know my Hail Marys, and or I was mixing my Hail Marys with my All Fathers, and he started yelling at me. I'm like, okay, I'm out. I'm like, it's bad enough. I'm going for my mom's sake. But anyway, so I took a world religion course, and I realized, whoa, Christianity's not the only religion here going on. Hey, what's all these things going on? And that led me to, extraterrestrials, the Sumerian tablets, and it started opening up my ears at the tree of knowledge that we're not supposed to look at. I was looking at the tree of knowledge and realizing that, hey, there's something else going on out there that we're not being told. And it looks like somebody's trying to suppress this information, especially when you get into the extraterrestrial agenda. And like, wow, this is really big. So that most people do the opposite, but I hit it heavy initially at a young age, and then worked into understanding the spiritual nature of all this, and how there's nothing to be worried or fear about. Whatever our true history is, that it doesn't matter, because we're already the spiritual beings. Right. And now we got to figure out how we can find the power within and I believe this is Jesus' teachings the whole time, the Gnostics of what his teachings were, that we're going to be the ones waking up, doing more than he will, as he said, as he will, right? Yep. And this is where I think this is where we are. We're right now in the I call it the Super Bowl. This is like we're all here for the Super Bowl here at this point, because this is the awakening. Either we're going to wake up and shift this, or we're going to let these power brokers or this negative dark forces have their way, which to me is a weaker of the vessels, because we're the stronger vessels. Yep. And even them can wake up. I think there's darkness out there who are just lost. Right. And not that we can't have compassion for them. We need to still hold them accountable for all the evil things they may be doing. But if they could wake up, if these power brokers in charge could wake up to the light, to how goodness really is stronger than evil, or it's better, it's healthier, or whatever maybe they want to look at it, we could shift it overnight. So it's not we have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's a matter of waking up consciously. Hence why we're a conscious network.
You mentioned the tree of life. Can you give our listeners a 60-second definition of what you're talking about?
Well, in biblically speaking, the tree of knowledge, which not tree of knowledge that Satan was showing Eve the tree of knowledge, and how God was like, oh my God, you're throwing out the apple and that. But that's the old saying, and to me never really resonated with me. Why would God not want you to know knowledge?
Right.
And so, but if you read the Sumerian tablets, it explains it very thoroughly, which is a whole other topic.
But if I have to go through the priest to talk to God, there's a financial benefit.
yeah. Well, the knowledge is based on how much money you have and what you're willing to do. So there's
how much time you spend in purgatory depends on how much money you get.
Well, and then you got the caste system in the Hinduism. I mean, that was manipulated by man thousands of years ago. You can only stay here until the next life, and so it's just been. And then the Apocrypha has been taken out. And that was all extraterrestrial. They didn't want anybody to know about the extraterrestrials, the Nephilim, and the Smithsonians. They already found big, large bodies and heads. They keep that quiet. They rush it out. So it is a giant conspiracy going on. Just which end are you going to be on? Is my question, right?
So today's topic of the show is free speech dead in America?
Dead and buried. No, it's in the process of dying. In fact, most of us, I believe, we've done shows on frequency wars, weaponizing our agencies. I think it's just going through the motions right now, as we're seeing with legislation coming out that's unheard of.
Such as?
Like for example, the legislation they passed, like DeSantis passed in Florida. They call it anti-Semitism legislation, but it was just you can't say
anything about Palestine.
You can't say anything about Palestine. You can't say anything. Here and you're like, why can't you say anything about another country in America? We could burn our own flag, and it's part of our freedom of speech. But we can't say anything economic that may hurt a foreign country. I said, if that's not the epitome of free speech is dead, and then legislation in 37 countries have changed to where you can't say this about another foreign country. I said, come on, let's talk about foreign lobbyists influencing our politicians, right? So that's just one latest example. But, the Smith-Mundt Act they passed years ago, which says that our own government can propagandize our American people.
Yes. Well, Obama made that, executive order made that illegal to lie to us.
I mean,
the media is now off the hook. They can lie. And that's why you can watch MSNBC every night and Fox every night. Yeah. Same story, two complete different narratives. So someone's lying, right?
Yeah.
And I contend that both are lying.
Well, we're seeing the true colors come out right now, where the loyalty is of our politicians. I mean, it's almost unanimously we're giving money to bombs to destroy other countries because we're warmongers, And when did that happen? We're supposed to be the good guys. We're supposed to be the ones helping with democracy and freedom of speech and all this. And it seems like we've been co-opted.
Well, I think Eisenhower warned us about that.
Yeah,
it's
military
all about
complex.
Money. What I've come to the conclusion that's all about money. Medicine's all about money. Big pharma's all about money. And nobody's about helping those less fortunate and helping those that are suffering. And as a result, the suffering is just growing universally.
Oh, and I'd even add to that. I think the money is actually a stepping stone to what they really want. And
Which
I think,
is?
Power and control, but I think it's even more insidious than that. I think there is if you want to use the word satanic, I think there is a Luciferian agenda or extraterrestrial agenda, if you're safer using that instead of satanic agenda, that we're walking right into as we speak, and it's happening. But our politicians, we're a banana republic. So if we're a banana republic, freedom of speech is dead. It's just they're just allowing us to have whatever illusions of freedom of speech at this point.
Right.
Because if you're going to allow the legislation like what we just mentioned to be in there where groups of people will have more authority over other groups of people, how can you say the freedom of speech is not dead? Right? And it's just now they weaponized agencies to enforce that.
Right.
Look what we just went through with the COVID pandemic, right? I mean, you remember police coming out and saying we're going to arrest you if you're out of your house. Right. I mean, the First Amendment is not just the freedom of speaking your word; it's the freedom of assembling. You could assemble. It's the freedom of religion. Now religion is under it. How many churches were shut down? Right. So the First Amendment is the powerful amendment. It has the religion, assembly, and speech. So all three, the trifecta, is basically being worn down, if not eliminated at this point. So this is something that motivates me to do UI Media and the UI Media Network, to get out and speak no matter what your truth is. Right. And you know what? Even if you completely disagree with me, right, and you want to burn the American flag, right,
you have the right to do that.
And I will protect your right, because that is freedom of speech.
Well, what's interesting, it used to be the Democrats and the ACLU that were all proponents of this, and now it's like... But the other thing, I mean, you know, like we can't say certain things, or YouTube will kick us off, or Facebook will kick us off, and or they don't kick you off, they just never, your material never gets spread around.
Shadow banned,
And so we know that's happening. At least you and I know that's happening. Yeah. And what percentage of Americans do you think are awake enough to realize that they're about to lose all their free speech?
Good question. Percentage-wise, before I answer percentage-wise, and I'll throw you something I think out there, but I would say between now and the last 3 years, there's been a majority of people waking up to what's going on. However, let's just say 60%.
You think 60%?
No. Out of that 60%, I would say you got about maybe 40 to 45%, or maybe even 50%, that kind of have an idea what's going on, but it's too much for it's too much for them to acknowledge, and they're in denial about it because they know something's not right, but they don't know which way to go because their consciousness or their mental ability to handle this level of deception,
or their emotional ability,
to handle this level of deception and insidious agenda.
Well, it is mind blowing.
It is mind blowing, right? So I think that's probably the best news, because even though they're still denial and they're going to go along with the program, they're going to walk right into the FEMA camps and whatever else they're going to do. They're aware of, on some level, even unconscious level, they're aware of it.
They're aware that something isn't right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Whether it's conscious, subconscious, energetically, or whatever.
Yeah.
But
their mindset's too fragile.
But what I see, I mean, if I were to guess, and none of us could ever figure it out, but I would guess there's, maximum 10% of people that are fully awake and see all this stuff, right? And then of course there's 10% that know all the evil stuff and support that, right? That's the kind of way I see it. You got 10% over here that are aware of all the stuff that's harming people and don't care. They have that agenda. Right. And then there's 10% people over here that do care and want to make humanity better, healthier, and more awake. And then there's 80% in the middle. And my struggle with that group is that if they don't wake up and pay attention soon, we're all on that 10% over here. We're all going to lose out. All of humanity is going to lose out, and this 10% is going to win. So it's really, to me, growing up Catholic, then becoming 12-step, and then born-again Christian, and then studying Buddhism and the Quran and Hinduism and everything, it all comes back. It's a battle of good versus evil.
And it's a battle of good versus evil.
And it's inside us, too. We have our individual battle with good versus evil inside, and then outside.
And that's where the metaphysical part, and I concur. I almost had a very similar path as that, probably a very similar path, and realizing it is, at the end of the day, it's good versus evil, but it's not good versus evil, in my opinion, in the sense of, like, you got this extreme demonic, people that have to be eliminated, or this extreme angelic people who are just, just loving angel people. It's a gray area. And in this gray area, good people are going to do some evil things, and evil people are going to do good things. And this is what's the confusion for most humans to really understand that, because it's easy for us, cognitive dissonance wise, it's easiest for us to see things in a black and white perspective, a duality, right? But it's actually a triality. There's good, there's evil, and it's a choice that you make.
Right. Every day.
Every day.
Every decision.
You want to prefer to do good, then so be it. You prefer to do good. If you prefer to do evil, then whatever consequences comes with that, you're going to have to be responsible for it some way, on some level, usually within yourself. But you could look at the evil people doing it, and you could say, why are you doing this? This is insanity. It's much better over here on doing good things, right? But I do think it's a free will zone, and I think God got us all there is, the collective, however you want to define it, has created this ability for us to make these decisions, because as we wake up to who we really are as mighty, powerful spiritual beings, these are decisions that we have to make, because we have the darkness in us.
Absolutely.
And if everyone is a mirror of each other, as I know you believe, right? Then as we look in the mirror, when we choose what we want to hurt that person because they're evil, we're hurting ourselves, right? So there has to be some Jesus perspective of how to handle this evilness, rather than just going out with pitchforks and torchlights and burning down Frankenstein's mansion here. So there has to be an evolution of spiritual understanding that we may not need to. And I always go back to my Star Trek episodes. Do you like Star Trek? You ever see Star Trek?
No.
All right.
I've watched. I didn't see one movie. I watched a few TV shows because I'm an
Well,
old
the
guy.
TV shows are most important. The old back in the 60s.
Well, I watched
all right?
some of those.
All right. Anyway, there's this one episode where, and this is what you need to. I'm going to get you onto Star Trek, all right? Because it really defines what we're experiencing today, all right? And where this group of people were this enlightened people, but they acted as if they were just as human as the bad guys, which was the Klingons, and the good guys, which was Kirk and his Enterprise, right? And they came around this planet, and they were going to, they're fighting each other. And these guys were like, oh, no, we don't want you to fight and hurt each other. And they were more concerned about them hurting each other than them hurting them and hurting them, right? And Kirk's like, hey, what about you? You're the one with all the people here, because it's okay. Anyway, they were energy beings, just projecting as an avatar into their bodies. And they were very advanced themselves to the point where, it's about love, why you want to hurt. And they were concerned about them hurting each other, And so the conclusion is that, we have free choice. But what decisions are we going to make? Are we going to hate each other in this, which they're dividing us left and right now?
No doubt.
Or we're going to bring love in the picture here to our enemy and help them come along to waking up to consciousness of doing healthier, lighter, beautiful, more things in life.
Yeah. So for all you Trek fans out there, please share this episode. when did that air? In the 60s?
Yeah, in the 60s, like 64, 65 to 67. Not that I'm a Trekkie.
I probably watched 10 episodes.
Yeah.
Okay, so UI Media.
Yeah.
First of all, let's stay on this good and evil thing for a minute.
All right.
Because I believe that you've studied MK Ultra, you've studied the Church of Satan, you've studied satanic mind control, these satanic families where they abuse their children sexually, mentally, emotionally, humiliation, break the mind into altars, create all kinds of chaos. That's pretty evil.
Evil as they come.
So there is, not everybody playing in this world. There might be some people compartmentalized that don't fully aware of the big picture, but still play a role in supporting that.
Most deny it, don't even think it exists.
Because it's so natural. They've been programmed from such a young age. They just accept that's their fate.
Well,
I'm talking about the victims.
Yeah, victims. Many of them actually acted out in any type of abuse. Either you acted in or you acted out, right? So many of them who are being abused, they then act out their abuse on others, and this is part of the.
And it's just programming. It's just pure programming.
Yeah, and you're talking about abuse at a level of when you're born. These people are born. Born in these satanic families. They're from birth. They're drowned. These infants are drowned to die, and then they quickly bring them back to life again because these are doctors involved. They know how they've been doing this for a long time, and just so they'd leave their body to start splitting their brain to traumatize them, so then they'll be more malleable, so they could program them to be who they want. We started this foundation, which we'll talk about in a minute. But Elisa E is also involved in that, and she was.
Who'd you say?
Elisa E. She goes by Elisa E. She's a high-level MK Ultra survivor. Dealt with born in these type of families, and where government ran.
Yeah,
we're not talking
CIA ran.
We're not talking about a cult of just some Satanists. All right. We're talking about CIA, heavy government influence.
And let me just interject real quick, just so people aren't get confused. If you want to know the MK Ultra program that was, I think it really came from Germany after the
Operation
World War II, and then the CIA adopted it. Go out and watch the Jason Bourne series of movies, but with this new information in your mind, and then you'll see it plain as fact. And by the way, whatever's going on, okay, I don't know if there's a spiritual law or something, but they have to tell us, and they do it through predictive programming. They do it through movies. So I don't know. I'm not sure how all that works spiritually, but there is some spiritual component to, hey, it's okay if we screw all these people as long as we tell them in advance.
And on top of that, it's so insidious. It's so like scientific. Mendele was the one who came from Germany who started Operation Paperclip here.
And Operation Paperclip was all the Nazis after the war came to the U.S. Werner von Braun took over NASA, and all these other scientists and all these people that were doing all these experiences in these camps, these labor camps. So
you have the MK Ultra victims, and also you have the SRA, satanic ritual abuse victims, right? And although many of them are interconnected with each other, and like for the MK Ultra, like Elisa E., she was created to be a high-level sex assassin. And so she was trained that way. She was a honeypot. So people would, and usually...
And by the way, this concept originally came from the KGB in Russia.
Yeah. And so they would train them. Usually they would use them as hitmen, but they call it the network, the satanic network. They call it the network, and it's highest level people in the world. I mean, it's the highest level. Bohemian Grove, presidents, above that. I mean, all the people in the know are involved.
And a lot of names we would never recognize.
And you would know. They could be in your backyard in a very humble household. All you know, and so they were. She was created for this, and then in the stories that would go through, but she's still on the run to this day. She deprogrammed herself.
How did she break out?
Christ.
But how did she get away from them?
She's not completely away from them.
Oh.
See, they have their own laws too. If she's waking up to that she's a mighty powerful spiritual being, they could only do so much. That's why they got to use all the psychological warfare on them to a certain degree, unless they allow that, right? So there is definitely the body of armor of God, of a higher power, and her understanding of Christ is more esoteric, but more of an energetic Christ within, right? Consciousness. So she then sort of deprogrammed herself with a couple people helped her deprogram herself, and then most of the deprogramming was on herself. But she had, tens of multiple personalities that she had to integrate, right? On top of that, one personality, just real quick here, one personality was so, because you talk about like when you're abusing, and I don't want to get all the details.
And just FYI again for the audience, what they do is they torture you, they break your mind into all sorts. Because if I'm getting tortured over here, I'm going to create a new identity over here where I can handle that. Then they do another thing, then I'm going to create. And so when there's 10 different personalities in that body, I mean,
they all have a purpose.
And if you think we're full of it, just go buy the book Transformation, TRANCE, Transformation of American by Kathy O'Brien, and you'll see this is real. In addition, there's another book, Thanks for the Memories, with Bryce Taylor. So we're not, I mean, this just sounds like crazy stuff, but
it's so real that they've already passed legislation on some of this stuff, which we'll talk about here in a second. But so people like her, I don't know how much time we have left, but I'll be quick.
We have time. Don't worry.
So it's so real that when these people come, they're on the hunt. Like even to this day, she's going public now. She's like, I can't hide anymore, even though I'm running, because they're always trying to get them back into their under their mind control. They're using frequencies. They have gang stalkers. You name it. They're constantly doing it. So that a lot of them are constantly on the run. And imagine this type of they're stripped of money. For the most part, it's hard for them to get a job. They have done in their past horrific things for the network. I mean, we talk about murder. We're talking about
so they have to deal with all that.
They got to deal with all that, and plus, they're not very marketable in a society that doesn't understand that, right? And that's just that. And then you got the satanic ritual abusers, survivors who had to gather more kids and then kill children for whatever reasons for the rituals. So the psychological effects is just tremendous. It's almost incomprehensible. But then they got to survive. They can put a roof over the head unless they stay inside the satanic family, and they do that deliberately to keep them all engaged there. So we started the foundation. It's called Free in Hearts and Minds Relief Fund. And it's all about assisting not only financially with these people on the run and also people who are under mind control, but also we have practitioners on the website. It's called unitedintentions.org, and you'll see the website there. And it actually gives practitioners who have been vetted out, ones that are not working for the CIA or the government, the ones who are actually all survivors of this type of torture. And one of the latest things that's happening, which is we're all in the same game now, because you got the MK Ultra, which is trauma-based mind control, old school. Then you got SRA, satanic ritual abuse, which uses a lot of the MK Ultra techniques, but it's the satanic ritual kind of religious type of approach. And the next thing here is happening that we're all potential victims of is called TIs, and that's targeted individuals. For example, the Havana syndrome. I don't know if you ever heard of that before.
Tell us.
Havana syndrome came out of Havana, Cuba. We had dignitaries that are there from the United States and other countries, and they were all of a sudden getting these horrible headaches. I mean, they were just like, they don't know what's going on. They can't think straight, whatever. Turns out these are direct energy weapons that was being beamed to them directly, to them individually. So they were able to individualize these target individuals. And a great example, you'll see how widespread or small amounts, you just saw in Maui with the direct energy weapon blow up there. But so these politicians had to leave, and they were figuring out what was going on.
Now, were these U.S. politicians or international?
A mixture of a bunch, right? And so they were trying to figure out what was going on.
So they're all getting sick.
Yes, but they came back to America, and this is how real it is, right? That you don't need to have to trauma-base somebody to mind control them, right? You could use this type of direct energy weapons.
Well, I'm not sure if they were mind controlling or just taking them off the market.
Well, part of it too is they were breaking them down, and then if they could do that, they already had the technology to put voices in your head, and they could tell you stuff. It's as if like God's talking to you, right? They even call that something on that level. But point is, it's so real that our government has passed legislation, but only for people who work in the government to protect them from the Havana syndrome, to protect them
from... They
from...
can do it to us, but they can't do it to people in the government.
Well, yeah, because that was who lobbied it for, right? But because it was real. But my point is, it's on the books. It's real. This is actually happening. And this could happen to you, me, anyone at this point, because this is the next level of mind control. Not to mention all the nanoparticles they've been putting into and the... self-assembling technology they've been putting into humans through these vaccine process. Yeah. There truly is a transhumanism agenda right now that's happening as we speak. Most aren't clueless about it. But what kills me are these folks, they just don't get attention. They're on the run. And these are the superheroes, I call them, because they have gone through such torture that it's almost created a sense of a psychic or almost superhuman abilities in many of them, because they have been traumatized so hard, so severely. So they're brilliant, many of them, and loving, and who wants to stay compassionate or not working for the dark forces who actually get out of it or try to get out of it. So my heart goes to them. That's why I've given thousands, and I've helped over the years with that. And more importantly now than right now, we want to bring awareness to people, realizing that these people exist. This is actually happening, and you could actually support them with practitioners or support them financially. And that's what we do. We're trying to give like $500 per person just to give them ability to make decisions on their own, because they all have handlers, right? They never made financial decisions on their own and never had the autonomy to do that. So it's not where we want, we want to put money into a fund for dental work or whatever. We want to give them that, and then they start learning, hey, I could live on my own. I could do what I need to do and get my own help, because they trust nobody. They trust very little people, and rightfully so, because of what they've been through, because they're government agents, CIA, all these folks, satanic families, wealthy corporations, they all know how to bring people right back in the fold, and that's why you don't hear about it much. Yeah. But it's being uncovered.
Any idea how many are there in America?
Millions.
In America?
In America. In America, I would say probably maybe a million. I'd say it's not
Europe?
More. I say collective over the world, millions.
So let's just say there's a million in America.
Okay, all right.
But how many are stuck in that lifestyle, and how many have broken out?
It depends on their purpose. Many of them, were just killed after 30 years of age.
Right, exactly. That was the day.
And it depends on, but the key is, do they have a spiritual awakening in that process? And then are they protected by forces outside of ourselves, outside of this three-dimensional world? or are they just continuing in the Luciferian decisions, making bad decisions, and then they're free game to be taken out, right? Those are the things you got to look at on an individual basis. But I would say the majority of them are still caught up into families, still caught up under the control handlers who are not completely out, but who want to get out, but they have nowhere to go. They don't have a group home to go to because people be searching for them. Right. They don't have a place they have to hide out to really get away, unless they're just not useful anymore and they're off the radar. But majority of them, especially MK Ultra more so, and satanic ritual families too, majority of them are always under the thumb, or at least under the, always trying to get them back into the fold.
So my understanding that the Congress made the CIA eliminate the MK Ultra program.
Yeah, bogus there. Just like they eliminated the geoengineering cloud seeding in the 70s. Look at it today.
Well, they admit to that now.
I know, but they said they eliminated it after the 70s came out and showed 5,000 documents of how bad geoengineering is.
But now
and they eliminated, but did it ever go away?
Now they spray to block the sun because of global warming.
Well, I will say this: MK Ultra is, and even satanic ritual abuse is not as important as it used to be to them, because now they have
bigger picture.
They have direct energy weapons in a town near you. Those towers that are going up everywhere. This is not cell towers. These are direct energy weapons to create this level of mind control on billions of people, not millions. So it's kind of like old school. And now the new school is the nanotech they're putting in us, and the direct energy weapons and frequencies to manipulate and control humanity. So this is the transhumanism direction we're going in. So that's the new game. That's the new game on the street.
Okay. So I'm going to use a round number because I like round numbers.
Right.
And there's probably 350 million Americans. Well, Americans is probably less than 300 million, but there's 350 million living there.
Disappearing every day.
but there's coming across the border 10,000 every day, right? So we don't even know how many live there. But let's just say for round numbers, 300 million Americans.
All right.
And let's say all 300 million Americans just listened to you for the last 5 minutes talking about cell towers or directed energy weapons. Okay? What percentage is going to tell you freaking nuts? And what percentage of people are going to say, I already know that? And what percentage of people say, what? And I want to investigate that.
Yeah, I would say probably 200 maybe 250 million will be like, this is insane.
It's insane.
Yeah, and then maybe 25 million be like, I don't want to really deal with this. It may be true. And then maybe another 15 million, maybe like, I'm throwing, I could be completely wrong on my numbers, but I would say the majority of the people are going to,
the vast majority are going to say, you're nuts, I'm nuts, and this is nuts.
But that's okay, though. And I'll tell you why it's okay. As long as you could handle the feedback from the majority of the people saying that you're crazy.
Yeah.
If you could handle that, because once something like this is brought to any individual's attention, to their consciousness.
Yeah, at least you plant a seed.
As even though they may think it's nuts,
right,
the next time they hear an outsider or a more trusted source from them say something similar, now they got 2 hits. It's like 7 hits, right, in marketing.
Yeah, it's like marketing, top of mind awareness.
Yeah. So it's all worthwhile bringing it up and sharing it. But my biggest concern is getting relief immediately for the people who are the heroes, in my opinion. And that's why I'd love if we could figure out how to gather them, the ones that are willing, and bring them here to the.
That would be beautiful.
Oh my God, what an incredible week that would be. Weeks.
So, I know you're pretty dialed in. You do a lot of work and pay attention to what's going on in the world, and then you produce documentaries or short movies. And remembering the fact that we're on YouTube. How do you see 2024 for the United States of America?
YouTube, grow some. I would say, based on what I'm hearing from really the top experts I consider that I would go to for information, people like you now, Dr. Brian Artis and Dr. Group and Ely and a lot of the ones who have been bold and courageous enough to go against all the birds flying the same direction and tell you a whole different scenario, a truthful scenario, which when you watch these documentaries like Death by Deception or The Next Pandemic, the evidence is indisputable. I mean, it's right there in the NIH. It's like the government's telling you what we're going to do. You know, they've already passed legislation and money to support this next pandemic. It's there. They passed it in 2020. So it's either you're going to listen to what they're telling you, or you're going to like lie to yourself. As it comes down to it, right?
Well, I think people lie to themselves.
Oh yeah, because it's too much. I mean, that's our mentalities are so fragile in many ways. That's why we're going to have to find courage. So 2024, I think, is going to be a challenge. They're already working up this in the States right now. This white flu or something they're trying to call it, and was that going to lead?
What is it called? White. In the U.S. right now, because there's something going on in China, I see. But
yeah, it's
something
already in the
now?
U.S. They're saying the Southeast is now being being shut down. They're trying to push out before Christmas this new pandemic. Whether it's going to be what we talk about in the next pandemic, the movie with the combination between the 5G.
Is the next pandemic documentary that you produce, is it out now? Can people watch it?
Yes, it's out now. If you go to uimedianetwork.com, go into exclusives. You just put your information in there. It's free. You can watch the full series, and it's life saving.
Let me, because I just watched it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get censored for promoting it. uimedianetwork.com, the next pandemic, and then you have a 3-part documentary which is called
Death by Deception. It's like the prequel to the next pandemic. It explains how the CIA and all the rest actually created the pandemic, what they used in it, why they did it, and also the treatments, how you could heal yourself based on that as well. Which the treatments, what we talked about in Death by Deceptions, and also we talk about the treatments in the next pandemic are the same. So whatever they're throwing out, the treatments are the same, and it's nothing to do with what your medical industrial complex is trying to push on you.
You mentioned the CIA. Who does the CIA actually work for?
I would say it's the elites. Okay. I don't know if you want names or not, but
okay. No, that's okay.
YouTube,
so
you don't want to go
CIA
there,
really works for the elites. I would assume
they were created. The OSS was created
for the elites.
For the elites from the get-go.
And who pays for the CIA?
We do.
Okay.
Yeah, we pay for it.
Seems a little unjust to me.
Yeah, it's very unjust. In fact, everything's unjust. We're paying for our own next pandemic too, by the way. We're paying to poison ourselves every day. This is the insanity of it all, right? Yeah. But yeah, I definitely recommend the next pandemic because it explains whatever they're going to be coming up, the combination between the 5G, the EMF relationship with what people got injected over the last 3 years and being injected, and now the mRNA stuff's in our foods and vegetables that they're putting out there, how you could get that out of your body so it cannot be used against you to create things like E. coli, or Marburg disease, and many other things that we already have that's been embedded in these proteins, spike proteins.
We're getting close to the end of the show here, so I want to ask you to give me, as you see it next year, the 3 biggest things that Americans can do to protect themselves from whatever's coming.
Well, because it's a trifecta. They're going to hit us with most likely the CBDC, the financial the collapse, right?
So they're going to collapse the economy, put us in central bank digital currency, eliminate money.
Yeah, but they're going to do it in conjunction with, I believe, this is my opinion, I believe with the next pandemic, which is going to be the 5G /
pandemic, economic collapse simultaneously.
Yes, and then of course they'll bring, and the biggest thing is the FEMA camps and the concentration camps, I call them, that New York just passed that the New York government can come into your home, take your kids, take you, without any permission, without any due process of our Bill of Rights, and take you to a FEMA camp, if they want, whatever they're going to call it, and hold you indefinitely if there is a disease, a pandemic that's going on that they declared a pandemic. That's already passed, and that's also in part of the next pandemic movie, why they're doing this, why they're releasing
but
this next
let me
one.
interject.
Yeah.
Who do they have the right to come and take? What have I done? Have I refused the vaccination? Have I refused to do this? I mean, how do they determine who they're going to come and take?
Well, when you're dealing with corruption at this level, the truth doesn't matter anymore. Just as long as they can
But
create.
in the legislation, I mean. So the legislation says what? That if Mike Murphy doesn't take this disease serious, we're going to come and get him and re-educate him. I don't know what it says.
Well, basically, it says it's such broad and and
So it's like the
horrific.
Patriot Act.
Yeah, Patriot Act.
Anybody can be a terrorist.
Yes, exactly.
You charge as terrorists, we hold you, and
yeah.
we never charge you, and we own you.
Right now, they could hold you for anything.
So it's
I mean,
very similar
It started out
Patriot.
as Muslims, and it was domestic terrorists, and then the extremists now.
So
they
this
call
is
it.
the medical version of the Patriot Act.
Exactly.
But
And-
at New York State only.
well, beginnings, and now they're already pushing this in all these other states too, just like they're pushing everything else. They're building this as we speak. This ship is being built piece by piece, but they're hiding the different pieces, and not letting you connect the dots if you're not aware. If you're aware, it's very obvious to see the dots are connecting, and you could see what they're building. And let me tell you something: it's horrific for humanity what they're building, and that's why we need to wake up now. Not just on a conscious level in this world we live in and with our legislators and the corruption and everything going on that level, but we need to wake up to the spiritual understanding that we can shift and create our reality based on our power of our intentions and the power of our belief of our collective, with God got us all there is, that we can manifest whatever we truly want to create the heaven on earth, even in the midst of this level of evil and death. And I'll say one last thing here I think you'll appreciate. I think, in my opinion, that the whole universe is looking at the world here, this earth right now, and they're amazed. They're amazed how far dark a place can go, and I think we're just beginning phases of how dark we've been going into, how far dark a planet can go with humanity and whoever else is involved. At the same time, amazed how they see all these light beings here, like who I'm sitting next to right now, who is making a difference right now, who see the light and still want to raise consciousness in the midst of this dichotomy of darkness. And I think all these, whoever it is out there in this galaxies, are sitting on their seats on the edge, waiting, anticipation.
Watch the Super Bowl.
What the hell is going to happen here? And I am privileged, I'm sure as you are, to be here in the arena, in the stadium, in the center there, playing this game, whatever this game is going to end up being, and being part of it. And I'm excited, as scary as that may seem, where we're going down. I'm excited because I know there's no death. I cannot die. I choose what I want, and I create what I choose to what I want. And I'm meeting the most incredible, like-minded frequency people, and that's how it works. You want to experience a certain frequency, you match that frequency of that reality you want to experience. And that's why people like you and I are meeting and hooking up now. Not 30 years ago, but now, during these times, the most crucial times, as this evil rolls out, the goodness is also rolling out. And never forget, that goodness is exponential energetic responses, much more powerful than whatever negative could possibly come up with. We just have to unite. We unite, and we'll watch this change overnight.
So what I heard you just say is they have all the power in the 3D world. They have all the money. We have the power of the Creator, God. We have the power of love. We have the power of spiritual energy. We need to take this time right now very seriously, and we need to get very strong physically by getting the toxicity out and putting good nutrition in. We got to get super strong mentally, but not live in the head, because in the head you're dead. So we need to move from this insane asylum with these crazy thoughts and turn off the TV, turn off the internet, turn off all the BS, move into our heart, get into nature, reacquaint ourselves with who we really are, our soul, our energy, our essence, find that little spark of creation that is inside of us, and quit being a victim and quit believing their BS, and realize that we're a powerful creator, that we came here to create something powerful. And we got to stop the divide and conquer techniques that they're using. We have to realize that we're all connected to one another. And in that unity of community with responsibility and integrity, we can raise the consciousness of love and community and spirit and contribution and togetherness. And no matter what they throw at us, we're gonna build this huge shield, and we can avoid all that nonsense.
Perfectly stated, Mike. And honestly, if without your health, you can't go out and assist that. That's why, if anything, the mountains of hope here, this unbelievable place, really is the soldiers' training ground of what you just stated for people to be ready to go out in the world and start creating heaven on earth that we were meant to be. This is the perfect and an ideal, I'm getting chills just thinking about the ideal place and probably your purpose to prepare humanity for what's coming and really show how we can shift from darkness to light. And I honor you for that, Mike, and honor all the sacrifices you're making and will be making in the future.
Thank you, Tim. You got 30 seconds. Tell these people how they can find you, your work, and all that.
Go to uimedianetwork.com, and you can check out all our shows we have on there. It's everything's free, and as well as we have exclusives coming out. We have a show, Frequency Wars. It's a pretty hard-hitting show. We have a new show coming out called Blacklisted. That comes out in January, February, and it's going to be sitting around people like Mike and talking about what's coming and what we need to prepare for that. As well as go to unitedintentions.org, unitedintentions.org. Get involved in our Freeing Hearts and Minds Relief Fund for these MK Ultra, SRA, and TI survivors, because it's going to be you next if we don't do something about it. And I think we need to wake people up. So again, thank you, Mike, for having me here. And it's I'm looking forward to not only our new friendship, but our probably reacquaintance of who knows when we were together before, right?
Well, it's been a pleasure to meet you. I've enjoyed having you this week. I can't wait for you to come back, and hopefully I'll see you in Atlanta. So
definitely.
Muchas gracias. Hey guys, before we close here, I just want to say something. I've decided to shift gears here at Mountains of Hope. You know, we were doing these 2-week signature retreats, every 2 weeks. Now we're going to do them periodically throughout the year, and we're going to turn Mountains of Hope into a month or a nightly boutique wellness transformation hotel. And I will tell you this, in 2002, when my late wife at the time was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer, and we were so excited and fortunate to be dealing with the head of oncology at Stanford Hospital. If there had been a place like this, and if I'd known what I know now, and if she'd come here, I believe, now I'm not a doctor, I'm not telling anybody what to do or giving any advice, but from my gut to my heart to my brain and every cell in my body knows if she'd come to a place like this with that stage 3 breast cancer before they starting to ruin the immune system, and through meditation and through nutrition and through detoxing and putting great nutrition and all these other healing modalities that we have, these energetic healing modalities, and the biggest one is nature, okay, and the beauty of nature and the beauty of the power of the sun, I believe she would have shrunk that tumor in 60 days and still be alive today. So if you have cancer or you know someone with cancer, if it were me or my kids, let's say one of my kids got cancer, I would just come here, live here until it's cured. And I really believe that's the power of Mountains of Hope. I believe that's the power of these mountains that we're in right now. The energy here is profound. The love you will experience here, and you will move from your head back into that beautiful heart of yours, and you will crack it wide open, and you will cry, and you will become free and reacquainted with your beautiful heart and your beautiful soul, and you will transform. And it will be transformation that lasts. So happy you're here today. Grateful for you. Wishing nothing but the best. And until next week, go out there, live your life with passion, and manifest the life of your dreams. Thank you from the bottom of my heart in supporting me in bringing my message of hope, health, and abundance to as many people as possible. Will you please like, subscribe, and share this podcast episode, and I hope one day to meet you at Mountains of Hope, a place for deep healing and transformation.